Hey everyone, Ashton here. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is No Wasted Time, the show where I interview leaders who took their ideas and made them into reality. So if you're looking to make an impact and you're looking to invest your time, this is the show for you. So today I'll be talking to Allen Dumolien, certified athletic trainer and founder of Active Recovery Fitness. This man is changing lives through movement, and I'm so glad to have him on the show. So thank you so much, Allen, for joining us. Thanks, man.
Yeah, like I said,
how was that intro?
that was professional. It was really good. I think you've done it like 1,000 times.
I know, right? I'm getting used to it now. I know that I had, in my mind, some of the stuff that I wanted to introduce to the viewers and the listeners out there. But for yourself, is there anything that I might have left out that you want to let them know you're doing and working on?
No, other than when this is all said and done, I'd love for you guys to come check out what I'm doing and follow me. I'm most active on Instagram at Injury Recovery Coach and at Active Recovery Fitness. And then you can also check out my Facebook page as well. Just search Active Recovery Fitness and jump on there. But most of my day-to-day activity is on Instagram at the moment. So my spare time goes towards that when I'm not with clients, patients, and doing these fun little things too.
Rock on. Cool. So everybody out there, one of the big things that we talk about here on No Wasted Time is the fact that we want to get straight to the point. Like, how do we get from point A to point B? How do we go from making that transition in our lives as fast as possible? My personal philosophy is having mentors in your life that kind of guide you through the process, almost exponentially grow your path. Allen, for yourself, I mean, did you have any people in your life that really kind of spoke into you and helped you get from, just being a personal trainer to an athletic trainer to owning your own business?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it starts with probably parents, for sure. My dad, seeing how hard he worked growing up, working with him in the Midwest values, do everything yourself, that kind of thing. Transitioning into my adult life and my professional life, same idea. Do things right the first time. Do good things for good people, and things will happen. Probably we're all influenced by the people we're around, and I've got to say that pretty much every person I've worked for, basically forever, from first job into now, has been a influence, both good influence and maybe some of the negative things from it. You learn from both, right? And you kind of make it your own. So there's definitely been multiple influences, multiple bosses in the past. As far as going off my own, I've done a lot of my own research, personal development. I've reached out to a lot of mentors, more virtually or through this kind of interaction, online interaction, and also have a couple of personal and professional mentors as well that have kind of guided me, whether they know it or not, have kind of guided me along the way to where I am now.
Gotcha. You had mentioned a comment that you have virtual mentors. Can you kind of explain what that might be or what that might look like?
Yeah, totally. I mean, until recently, we had to go to a conference to learn from some of these gurus in the industries that you might be interested in. And now with the advent of these Facebook Lives and of course YouTube getting bigger, and lost my tripod. 1 second. It's so easy now. I guess I never thought about it, but in the past, I used to take guitar lessons from a guy that had an amazing YouTube channel. Never met the guy. He's out of England. Never talked to the guy. But for 3 or 4 years, for basically no cost, I took lessons from this guy with a new lesson every day. And that was kind of my first introduction to that. And then I got kind of involved with more of the business end of things and found different people along the way that are kind of leading their industries, whether it's sales, whether it's company culture, fitness industry, or not even just business, life, all those other things too. So without naming specific names, unless you really don't know, what you're doing with 1 Minute Mentor is a whole another idea. I love the 1 minute short, sweet little things, and the things that you touch on are perfect. I hear them basically as often as you post them. I see them right away, and I love it.
Awesome. I think that you're 100% correct. Like a lot of times people think that a mentor um, has to be a physical person right there in front of you. Um, but one of the key things that I think you understand, what I understand as well, is that mentorship and coaching are completely different things. Mentorship is very much that idea of, getting filled up, learning knowledge, getting something from somebody else. While for a coach, I would consider you as well as a coach. Because I think you're more of like a mentor and a coach because you both teach and you inspire people to look within themselves for the answers of how to get from point A to point B in their fitness goals. You know what I mean? Like, because as much as you want to push somebody, they have to want to push themselves if they want to get better.
Right.
So that's really cool. And so, not having an actual physical mentor that you can actually call a mentor, but learning from everybody, books, audios. I mean, it's everywhere now. Knowledge is everywhere. It's just you just need to know where to find it. So that's awesome that you kind of brought that up. Talking about people in general, we're obviously very connected and interconnected with the social media world. And, you could have 20,000 friends and, still feel lonely at the end of the day. But more or less what I want to talk about is there's so much information out there. There's so many people connected out there. Yet not very many people are becoming successful as fast as they want to be. I personally believe it's because, people focus on the information rather than the people that they can possibly connect to. So like, that phrase, it's about who you know rather than what you know, right? I personally believe in that. Some people say it's about what you know versus who you know. What are your thoughts on that? What's your opinion on that?
I think you're definitely right. There's a lot of people. Let's talk sports for a second. There's a lot of athletes that are amazing basketball players that don't have the grades into the big schools, that don't get the exposure from the public or the scouts or whoever it might be. When you go to the streets of L.A., New York, Venice Beach, you're going to see some phenomenal players that you're never ever going to hear from, see, or anything like that. So they have the knowledge and skill, but they don't maybe know the people. They're obscure, right? Obscurity is the number one killer of business or fame or whatever you want to call it becoming known.
Yeah.
So you definitely, I'm kind of on the fence, to be honest with you. I hate to say that, but you definitely need to know something, because when it's your time to go and you don't know what to do, you're going to be shown. But at the same time, you do need to have a network of people, because there's people everywhere that know somebody, right? You have your perfect idea, Facebook, right? I have no idea. Let's say 500 people on my network, and you have, let's say, 500 network people in your network. Well, now that we're connected, I now have 1,000 people that I could interact with, send a message to. So it's definitely who you know to get you that next step further. But when you get to where you're going, you need to know what you're talking about or what you're doing. You need to be an expert in your field, in your craft, whatever it is.
Right. That's good. I like that. It it kind of hits on the point of being prepared for an opportunity when it arrives. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say you want to do something, but you have absolutely no knowledge about what it is.
Right.
Once again, it's very much like this, like either or, flip or flop kind of situation. But I love hearing other people's thought process on that. And, for the people that are viewing and listening right now, there's multiple ways you can look at things. You can learn everything that you could ever dream of, right? You can be the best basketball player in the world, but if you don't know the right people that will get you in the spotlight, it's kind of like it was all for nothing. So it's kind of, you need to be able to balance both of them, but make sure that you I always say, just be nice, be nice to people, build your network, be very adamant about building your network, because once you build the network, it's there, and the relationships are there. You can go learn whatever you want to learn, and then connect to the people that you need to connect to see that dream to fruition. So that's awesome. I like your perspective. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a true believer in, and it's so cliche now because you hear it all the time, but your network is your net worth, right? So if you know nobody, how do you expect to do anything, right? So the more people you know, the more people that you can give without reciprocation in how am I trying to say it? If you can give without wanting something back, you're going to get more long run. The people that do things with a motive or a reason, or whether it's through manipulation or whatever it might be, they never get to where they're trying to go, because people can see through that in a second. You know, if somebody calls me out of the blue that I haven't talked to in 10 years and asks how I'm doing, I know they want, like, hello, how's it going? Hey, forever, how's it going? You know what I mean? Like, what are you selling me? What are you trying to get me to do? Like, what's going on? So if you stay having a network, but the trick is, though, I'm finding out the trick is staying in contact with your network. Don't have all these people. I got 5,000 friends on my profile, but I talked to 5 of them. You know what I mean? And only reaching out when you want something. So, long story short, try to give without wanting something in return. And people will remember that. People know that. They'll see through, and they'll see who you are as a person, and they'll be the first person on their mind when something comes up, like you talked about opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's so great what you just said. Give, the power of giving. You know what I mean? How, you know, most people want to take, right? And I mean, intrinsically, that's kind of how we are. We're all kind of a little bit selfish at the end of the day, and you know, to have the ability to want to give without having any expectations behind it, that's truly what builds stronger relationships. And saying, you know, when you have a business, you know, like, you truly just want to help someone, like within your field, you just want to help somebody get healthy, you know? So just saying, hey, this is what I can offer you, and, you know, giving them some intrinsic value, that'd be free, or maybe a lower cost, right? Maybe a free consultation or a free training session with you, just to get to know you. You know what I mean? And just understand where your heart is, and where you see them.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, will they become like a client? I don't know, but at the same time, what you're doing is you're helping them understand that they need help to get to wherever they need to be. Because unfortunately, some people are just I hate using the word ignorant, but they just don't know. They don't know that the decisions that they're making right now are going to affect them negatively in the long term.
Yeah.
So
they don't know.
So I really,
so they're not worried about it. Exactly.
yeah. So thank you for putting out there. Like, that's my huge thing: give, and you know, don't expect anything in return. And just, it's so funny how the people that give, for some reason, get all the time. You know what I mean? So people, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. His whole book, Punch Punch, or like left jab, or something like that. I forget what book it is. But it's all about give, take, give value, take value, you know? So don't be afraid as well, you guys that are listening out there. Don't be afraid to accept things as well. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people are just giving out of the kindness of their heart, you know, just, yeah, like, some, what is that? Being humble, right? Like, someone gives you a compliment, just take it. Just say thank you. So, but anyways, off topic. We can go on this for days. Back when we were when we were initially talking, you talked about personal development, having mentors for your personal development. What are your thought process on personal development? Do you think it's important? Do you think it's not important? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question, because until, you know, the last probably 3-4 years of my life, I didn't even really know what it was, other than you know, we used to call it self-help. I think self-help books, or the little section at Barnes and Noble where nobody wanted to be caught seen looking at books, you know. But I'm a huge two things. I'm a huge believer in it. One, because I'd love to still be in school, but not do all the work, if that makes sense. Like, not have the deadlines, the work, the projects, the blah, blah. But I'd love to sit in class and still learn. So for me, personal development is that. It's still learning. It's still listening. It's still watching people and content, and reading books and things like that too. Constantly learning, because if you don't constantly learn, you're going to be in the same place 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now than you are today if you're not evolving over time. You're just letting life happen to you instead of making it happen, basically. And I personally wish that I probably would have gotten on that ship a lot sooner, especially out of college. You think you know everything and you really know nothing. You've got this degree and you've got your first job and you're all excited to make a couple of dollars, you know. But at the end of the day, then you're like, now what? You know, now I want to know more. I want to learn more. I want to earn more. I want to be able to help more people, do more things, donate to this, support my family, all these other things. So personal development, I think, is huge. And I think there's a stigma on it for people that, oh, I don't need that because I'm weak, or I don't know how to live, I don't know how to act, and things like that. But I think it's changing, though. I mean, if you look at the numbers of people viewing the content and the things, at least that I know you and I are kind of paying attention to, the numbers are huge. I mean, thousands, millions of views on all these things. I just saw today that Tony Robbins sold out United Center in Chicago. I mean,
yeah.
And we all know that's not cheap to go to. You know what I mean? So that shows there how big that this whole continuation of learning is for people, no matter if it's a self-help guru or a sales guru or a entrepreneur guru, whatever it is. You learn from the people who have done it and who have struggled and who have made the mistakes. You can cut your time down and take from their experiences and continue on from there.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, I think you know, it's funny because when you start watching and getting into the self-help world, that's all you see. I mean, the beauty behind that is that that's all you see. The negative behind that is that you fail to realize how, even though there's a lot of people that are in the self-help realm, there's still so many people that are still stuck in that mindset of, you know, I don't need self-help. I'm doing just fine, you know, and that's the unfortunate thing. And that's why I love where we're going, because we still got so much further to go when it comes to personal development and designing your life. I hear that all the time. Design your life by design, or whatever. I think that's a huge thing. And, you know, I think we've made it when when personal development starts getting put into schools, it like right next to physics and math and whatever, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That's when I know we've done our job as a society on putting an emphasis on personal development. So that's 100%. I think hashtag goals for anybody who's listening to this, like how to create personal development programs into educational systems.
Yeah.
So anyways,
sorry, go ahead. I'll take that one step further and say that somewhere down the line, people aren't going to go to college anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because you can skip a lot of the background knowledge that you take out of 4 years of school, or in my case, 5 to 7 years with grad school in there. And you can learn within 1 year what you need to know to get to that next level. And I'm willing to bet that that's going to be the new, what do I do now out of high school? I'm going to connect with this guy who's a leading real estate mogul, or whoever it is that's doing these sharing and learning from these people, because we've all seen it. The cost of tuition is huge. The jobs are not there. Why go through that? Why come out of school in debt with no job to pay it off and go forward? So we'll see what happens. But that's kind of where I really see. I mean, I spend more time doing personal development now than I watch television. So it's like,
that's awesome.
It's going to become the new TV. It's going to be all this online interaction with professionals and people that are giving of their experiences and taking and all those other things too. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's my opinion. That's my
word. Personal development equals success in Allen's world. Hashtag don't forget, you guys, to start that program. That's a huge issue. I always say that the biggest issues need the biggest solutions. So if you see an issue, be the solution. So I hope anybody who's out there listening to us right now, I hope you guys listen and try to figure out ways to implement personal development into schools. It's a great, I think it'll be an amazing transition, and you'll be greatly successful with that idea. So anyways, so off track, but I love it. It's so great. Um, so I'm gonna try to get more deep with you right now with this question. So prepare yourself. So obviously, personal development is a tough thing to go through. We all struggle with one area of personal development more than others. What was that one area for you that you struggled with, and how did you overcome that moving forward?
I think probably the decision to leave the comfortable 9 to 5, um, structured, consistent, reliable paying job, and to go out 100% on my own. And now you're basically hunting and gathering for everything you can get, So now you're starting over basically. You don't have this open revolving door of people coming in that you have in a business that's been established for 15, 20, 25 years. That's when I really started to dive into personal development is, okay, now what? I've got the opportunity, I've got expertise. I know that I'm good at what I do. Didn't study business in school, studied anatomy, physiology, and, strength and conditioning and all that stuff. So now I searched out business gurus, psychology professionals. What else? I can't even think off the top of my head, but that's when you're kind of put in that place where you need to figure it out. So I can struggle through it, make mistakes for 5, 10 years, or I can pick up a couple of people that I see doing big things and learn from them and take what they're teaching and implement it as best as I can, which is hard, by the way. So don't become a professional studier. Don't become a professional consumer of media. Make sure that when you learn something, you at least try to put it to use that week, even that day, because it's very easy to get into this mode of I got to catch the live stream on sales, and then next thing you know, you watch it and you go on with the rest of your day, but you don't implement it. It's worth nothing. You're not necessarily all the time paying for the knowledge like you are in school. But even school, some of the best students that I went to school with were not the greatest professionals, right? They were books, but then they couldn't apply it. So for me, it's about application, applying what you know, applying what you've learned. It takes its own whole other discipline to be able to do that than to pop on an audiobook and listen to it in the car, because everybody can do that all the time.
Yeah. So you had made the comment that you went from 9 to 5, comfy 9 to 5, to doing more entrepreneurial things, starting your own business. Would you have done anything different on that transition? Would you have worked harder on the side to get your other business up and running to make that a smoother transition, or was that already a pretty smooth transition for yourself?
Yeah, I feel like I did a good job with that. I'm pretty detail oriented, technical minded person. The thing that was hard for me was more of on the personal side, more of the confidence and knowing that you won't fail. You're only going to succeed. You just have to put in the effort, and you can't shy away from doing these things, right? Or something, anything that's new, these interviews or knocking on doctor's office door or trying to meet with your clients outside of the environment to help their families or whatever cases might be.
Right.
It's just having the confidence and giving it your best shot and trying not to hold back, out of fear. Fear is the ultimate dream killer. So, that's the biggest. That's been my biggest, and I think that's pretty common across the board, whether people admit it or not. That's why people complain about work and keep punching in. They don't make a change. In my opinion, it's that fear of, I don't know if I can do it, so I'm just going to suffer through this. Which pain is more painful, right? You won't make a decision. You're not going to make a change. The pain outweighs one over the other.
Right. The instant major pain of going into entrepreneurship, or the long agony pain of staying in the 9 to 5 that you just don't like. Yeah. I'm not saying that. I mean, personally, there's people that are in the 9 to 5 that are doing very, very well for themselves, right? Sure. And we're not talking about them. We're not. You know what I mean? Like, those people are having a fantastic time. It's for the people that are watching right now and viewing right now that feel like they're stagnant in their job. They feel like they can't move up. They feel like their jobs aren't in line with their values, and yet they're just dealing with it, right? Like, and so those are the people that we're talking to. So there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. It's just more or less it's dealing with things like either you make a change and deal with the that pain in the beginning, or just keep getting more negative and keep getting just upset over little things at your job, and complaining and not doing really anything about it, right? And just doing that your entire life, and then having that regret that you wish that you would have made that jump, at least just to see where it took you, and so yeah, it's just like people are afraid of that instant pain that you get when you do make that leap, because it is tough. It's very, very hard to go into entrepreneurship. It's that whole idea. Sorry, it's that whole idea where um, it it's it's easy. Like, to become successful is easy. Like, I mean, you look at any book out there, yeah, it's the same process over and over again. Learn whatever, take action, fail, learn, whatever. That's literally the easiest process you can possibly learn. But the thing is, it's not simple. It's easy, but it's not simple. Like, and those are two completely different things. Um, but simplicity just means that there's less people doing it. And so if you even make that decision to do something that's challenging, you're making a decision that most people wouldn't do. So the odds of you becoming successful with it are very, very high. So yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, man. Like, either you deal with the pain all your life, or you just deal with that instant pain of taking that dive and coming out on the other side victorious. So good points. I love it.
And real quick,
Um,
back to that moment of what was the hardest thing was, I mean, I kind of tossed this idea around for probably close to a year. Do I want to leave this thing that's really comfortable? I love the people I'm with every day, and I love what I'm doing. On the flip side is I'm getting older every year. I don't want to miss my opportunity. I got to try now or never, that kind of idea. So, with the support of your friends and your family and the people around you on a day-to-day basis, you make the decision. It's kind of a gut call, right? So,
right.
to me, it meant something to struggle with the idea of it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be such a big deal. So, go for it, give it a try, make it happen. Worst case scenario, just come back. If it didn't happen, I'd still love to, help out if I can in any way, and then go from there. So it's been good, man. Life's good. It's all about, like you said, finding something. It works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, reevaluate it and do it a different way.
Yep. Rock on. Start early. Jump early is key.
First day after you graduate school, get on it. Get on it.
That's too funny. That's so, we're talking about advice. We're giving advice right now. But I know for myself, I've had advice that I was given by my parents to me and my brother and sister, that I've utilized, on how I built really solid relationships, how I built a strong foundation with my sales career, and grew within the corporate world so fast. And that's the statement that, and the advice that they gave me was, the secret is to listen. Um, and I mean, you guys can take that any way that you want, but the secret is to listen. That's my piece of advice. Alan, is there a piece of advice that you may have gotten, or that you like to utilize, that you kind of attribute to your success right now? And if so, what is that?
Oh, geez. Probably, the biggest thing that sticks in my mind is, don't be another face in the crowd. And I think we talked about this before. It's like, don't get lost in the numbers of the people of the world, of your community, or your environment. Stand out, in my opinion, for a good reason. Some people would say stand out no matter what, because at least you stand out, right?
Yeah.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. So stand out any way you can, if you want, if that's your deal. And then and don't be try not to be forgettable in whatever way. So, like you said, get to know people, try to relate with people, try to find common ground with people, and then give them some sort of we talked about this already. Give them some sort of value, whatever it is. If they're looking for a little piece of it, I can't tell you how many times I'll go visit family, and they're like, "Oh, can you look at my shoulder? It's been killing me for years." And it's like, then they don't know what they do, right? But it's like they can't, So you don't want to be negative, but you can call me anytime too. You don't have to wait till I come home for Christmas to relax and have a vacation. Put you to work, you know what I mean? So just be willing to help any way you can, even if it's paid for the person behind you in line at the store, or seeing somebody struggling and offering your advice, which is always touch and go. Some people are open to that, and some people take it personal. So all you can do is what you think is best, and go on with your day.
That's awesome. Yeah. Stand out from the crowd. I mean, there's so much clutter going on with social media. Everybody wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants to say their own thing, but the people that are standing out are the ones that are truly doing the work, right? To actually stand out. There's some people that do the bare minimum, and that's not going to make you stand out when it comes to wanting to be successful in whatever you do. The whole idea of what you're saying is stand out, but how do you do it, right? How do you stand out? And first and foremost, going back to what you were saying, do more than what people expect of you. When you pay it forward, nobody's expecting that, but that makes you stand out. People will remember you for that, doing something for other people. So I really like that, easiest, simplest way to stand out is to just do more than what is expected of you for anything that you do. So that is really good. And, kind of getting back on track with this, for myself, a lot of successful people believe in, being grateful for things. I mean, we're all obviously very grateful for a lot of things, but what's one thing that you're grateful for, Allen, that a lot more people should be more cognizant of?
I'd say health overall. Not to keep hitting on my profession, but honestly, if you're in a bed and can't keep your eyes open or breathe without a machine, or you name it, what's it all worth? You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who have all the money in the world who have terrible health, and they wish they could give it all back for ability to walk down the street and go to dinner with their whatever it is. And on the flip side, that's just, for me, that's it. And I've seen it. I have clients, I have patients who are dealing with it right now. And it's tough, you know what I mean? So without your health, you have nothing. You have no sport, you have no recreation, you really have no interaction if you can't leave your house or get out of bed, or you're stuck in a nursing home or a hospital room or whatever it might be. And I think it's human nature, but we all take that for granted at some point. Even the people that are hardcore, twice a day, eating perfect, never do anything bad, which I still think they do. They just don't tell people. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And health is truly number one. And if you listen to people who are influencers, it always kind of comes back to that in a roundabout way. I don't really know anybody that I study with or from that doesn't talk about health or fitness in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
A couple that I do, I've actually called them out on it and said, what do you do for your health and fitness? You're so focused on your business, your growth, your teaching, all these things. And you know what? I've actually gotten responses, which is the cool thing with social media now, is there's no gatekeepers. You can talk to people directly now. Whether or not they you is another thing, but you can drop a line to anybody. You can drop a line to the president. You can drop a line to any movie star you like, and you might hear back from them, which is kind of cool. So the world's a lot smaller place now too. So there's no reason to get out there and tying this back around. Get out there and increase your network. You have every opportunity now to reach out to people who we could never dream of getting in contact 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even a few years ago.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. So kind of just hitting on the points that you had mentioned before, being thankful for your health. I think that's really good. And for yourself, you're always surrounded by it. It's your job, it's your profession. There's some people that may not be surrounded by, the fitness realm or that kind of field, you know, what's your suggestion for people that may not be in the health realm,
Mhm.
to kind of be more cognizant of that? What can
Perfect.
they do?
That's easy. They can pick up the phone, give me a call. No, I mean, a lot of my clientele is that they're CEOs, they're businessmen and women, they're people who work their butts off their whole life and now they're retired and they realize that, okay, here's my window of time and it's going like this. You know, how do I make the most of
Yep.
my time? Um, you know, one of the things that I like to do on whiteboard is put, you know, ask somebody how old they are, put their age down, and then do the multiples of 10 all the way out to 80, 90 if you're lucky. And that's a visual to see, okay, here's it's in front of you right now. Are you willing to make changes to make this window not do this? Instead, stay open or even get a little bit bigger. And it's pretty
Mm.
cool to have. I've got a client right now that's on a vacation of her lifetime, and she's in her 80s, and she's had both hips replaced, and she's hiking Glacier National Park as we speak, and she's, you know, it's unbelievable. You know, I think
Yeah.
about people I know growing up in their 80s. They were lucky. One, they're lucky to be in their 80s, and two, they're lucky to be out of a wheelchair or a bed. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
health is number one. I mean, over everything. And if you're not focused on it, something's at some point is going to make you focus on it, and hopefully it's sooner than later. And I'll give me a call.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, I think that you know, for what you just said, you know, one of the tough things is if you're not listening to this audio or you're not watching this video, um, I mean, if you're not watching, you haven't made the decision to correct anything. You're already, if you're watching this video right now, you've already made the decision to want to become better. That's why you're here. That's why you're investing your time. One of the big problems is that with society, I mean, there was a study done, and I always go back to this study, but I love the way that you explain the whole timeline thing and saying where are you in your age, and this is the average, and you have, you know, X amount of decades left. You know, like let's keep that or make it better. You know what I mean? The process that you're going through right now, it's shortening that gap. That's just about it, you know. So I love the way the visual that you put there. But I use a study that said that people change for two reasons, right? One is traumatic, a traumatic event, like they got in a car accident, like near death experiences, right? Or number two, they get a negative diagnosis. That'd be, you know, cancer or diabetes, like you got like 6 months to live kind of situation.
Right.
And if you keep doing this, you're gonna be gone off this world pretty soon. You know, so those are the only two, you know, true factors that, I mean, studies show that will change someone's mindset towards what they're doing or make them think about what they're doing after the age of 25. Like so, but I mean, there is that third option, and then that third option is intentionality, right? Where I intentionally want to get better, even though I may not be like have that negative situation or have that negative diagnosis or whatever. And so that's the hardest one to utilize is, and it's because you have to check your ego. You have to understand that you're not perfect, like you said, and that you know you have to reanalyze everything that you're doing. Everything that you're doing, just because it got you to this point, doesn't mean that it's going to get you to where you want to be. And it's just that mindset, like because most people don't know where they want to go, and that's why they just keep doing what they're doing. So you know, going back to personal development movement. That's why I cannot wait till it becomes massive and just exponentially grows, because it's like on that teetering point. Like personal development is, you know, it's really getting out there. People are starting to, you know, like become more open to it, and it's literally on that teetering point. And our job is to really go out there and really talk about how development obviously helped us out, but how it's going to help them out, and how it's going to just keep this whole perpetuating wheel moving forward in the right direction. So I'm glad that you kind of brought that up. So thank you for that. That's something really good to be thankful for. Your health, tying it
I
all
mean,
back together.
yeah, and it's, you know, it is a little cliche, but it's honestly the truth if you think about it, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can't do anything. It doesn't matter what your finances look like. It doesn't matter what your relationships look like. If your health sucks, uh, you might as well just consider your life done.
Yeah, I mean,
So
think about when you get sick and you're in bed one day. It's just like that day's gone, wasted. No, nothing good has come from it if you're sick enough and you just need to shut your eyes and sleep. And imagine that over periods of days and weeks and months and years. It's just not good. So
yeah.
decrease the chances and do something each day to help yourself avoid that. It's not a
Yeah.
guarantee. But why increase your chance?
Yeah. Start with an apple a day, everybody out there. If you are not healthy, just start with an apple a day and let's see where it takes you. But anyways, you know, when I actually first asked you about personal development and making that leap into entrepreneurship, I asked you what you were afraid of then. What's one current project that you're working on right now that you are afraid of, or what are some of the fears that you're currently working through right now?
I would say, well, my first answer was fear, right? I believe that's what I said. It's
Yeah.
always that, it's just the unknown. Is it going to work? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? Are people going to
Hmm.
connect with it? Are people going to see value in this or that or whatever you're doing?
Yeah.
And honestly, too, now with the family, it's fear of not getting it done. You're just having time to do it and make it quality in the way you want it. I've got so many things in the back of my head on the back burner that are started and maybe not finished, or things that I want to get started that I can't. I mean, my whiteboard's too far away, but it's a list of like 15 to 20 things I want to do. And it's
Yeah.
making the time, it's finding the time, it's staying awake past 8 o'clock at night to work on them when the kids are in bed. There's always going to be distractions. So it comes down to discipline, right? It's just, to me, I'm very much of when I start something, I want to finish it. So rather than me start it and let it sit, I just don't start it until
Mm.
I can knock it out, or until I know I can do it.
Hmm.
Which is tough because now I don't have any momentum. But when I decide to do something and I make the time to do it, I make sure that I see it through and I finish it. And
That's awesome.
that's just part of my personality, is being a detail oriented kind of guy. When I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 balls in the air, it gives me so much anxiety I can't handle it. So I like to knock out a couple things at a time, have my list, I know where I'm going, I know where I am, and kind of go from there. So it works for me.
Right.
It doesn't work for everybody, but I found that works best for me.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. Um, that kind of that it leads me to this point that I'm bringing up right now. Is something that I talk to uh, a lot of people about, which is patience. One of the hard things about entrepreneurship is people always tell you to be patient, and I had so many people tell me about. I'm like, I want this, I want this, I want to do all this stuff at the same time, and people are like, well, you need to be patient. And when I think of the word patient, I think of stopping and just waiting, letting things kind of fall into place and see where it goes. And I just got introduced to a new term, which is active patience, which is there's passive and there's active patience. Like passive, I think a great example is, think of a train, right? Like a train's life, and the conductor is patience. And there's two conductors. There's passive patience and active patience, and both of them have their own role. Um, and this train's going down a track, and it sees a bend coming up in front of it. So just like a fork in the road, or maybe like just something new. And you're going full speed. So you have two options. One option is to have passive patients step in and be like, "Hey, we need to stop, analyze this thing, and wait for this curve in the train tracks to get figured out," right? And then you have active patients, which is that the exact same thought process. Hey, we should probably slow down, analyze how everything is going on, take this turn lightly so we don't run off the tracks, and then keep moving forward because we got great momentum. And so a lot of people, because I kept getting frustrated when people were like, well, you got to be patient. I'm like, and that was my mindset of passive patience, because I'm like, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to just stop doing what I'm doing. And so now I understand the difference between active and passive. Maybe not going full throttle, like starting 5 different businesses at the exact same time, and hoping that one of like all of them are all going to come landing into place, right? but more or less saying, okay, you know what? Like I got 5 businesses that I want to start. Let's like, and it's starting to get crazy right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like having that 15 billion things in the air. Starting to get a little crazy right now. And maybe I should just focus on 2 and then have the other ones on the back burner slowing down. So I'm going full speed ahead on these 2. These other ones I'm slowing down on. Maybe I'll figure out another time to figure those things out. But I'm going to focus on these things right now. Move forward with those. And then as I get through that time period, maybe those projects start to, flourish a little bit. Start bringing in those other ones. Start picking up the speed again.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so
That's basically my same mentality, right? Just try to see a few things through, get the confidence, get the momentum that way. Because the other thing is, you have all these projects that you have so many projects going. If you never have any completion, there's no closure, and you never feel like you're going anywhere either. So then you can get burned out, or you can get frustrated, or you just lose interest in it, whatever it might be. Because things are going to continue to always come along, new opportunities, new ideas, new projects. So unless you got a huge team behind you, right? But most people are starting out. It's them and maybe 1 or 2 other people helping get things done, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of effort. So I think that scares people too. Going back to your fear of making that decision, it's fear of the amount of effort, work, and time and commitment too. That slows people.
And you know what? What I really love, what you just said right now, is that most businesses start with 1 or 2 people. And it was true 100 years ago, and it's true today. Like literally, so many people are starting a business with 1 or 2 people, and it may become a minor success, and then they start adding more people, and then it eventually grows into big organizations. I could even think of the company that I used to work for, Oster. It was such an amazing company to work for. Like just the way that the values and the core and the systems that they had in place, it was amazing. And it literally started with 2 guys and 1 idea. And one was the inventor, the other one was a sales guy. And so literally the guy would invent things, and then the sales guy would go out, and now you have this company that is 500 plus employees, global company. You know what I mean? Like it people think that they need to have a billion people working for them. It's like, no, all you need is an idea. And if you can be the salesperson, be the salesperson. If you can't, then hire a sales guy and like let it get done. Like marketing, sales. That's really all you need to get started. But that's a side tangent. So my last, I like to talk about mentors and philosophies and everything like that. I want to understand, what is your current philosophies? What are your values? What are your non-negotiables that you can share with the people watching or listening to this interview?
Oh, that's deep. I got to think on that one. That's good. That's good. Non-negotiables, huh? For me, it's if I don't feel good about something, I'm not doing it. Whether it's moral, whether it's ethical, and 99% of the times, it's the right way to go. And sometimes too, I find myself making decisions for people based on how I feel. So you have to be careful about that flip side too. Does that make sense to you? Have you come across that? So, and I did it the other day. My wife's like, "Don't make the decision." What was it? Oh, I've got a road bike for sale. And a buddy of mine contacted me who lives in Taiwan. Long story short, I'm like, you don't want me to ship it to Taiwan. My wife's like, that's not your decision. Don't worry about it. If he wants the bike, he'll figure it out. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But for me, I would never do that, right? It doesn't mean he won't do it because he wants a nice road bike to work out. So little things like that. Non-negotiables. To me, family is and always will be number one. One reason why I'm not in a traditional setting for athletic training is that reason. I don't want to be away from my family 60%, 80% of the year. I love what I do, but I don't love it more than the people around me and the family too. I'm kind of coming to a blank, to be honest with you, on some of the other things too. What are some of yours?
Actually, I love my philosophy so much. So first, it's funny. My philosophies are like, organized, but I don't always follow through with them. And that's my frustration sometimes. But my philosophy is, God first. No matter what's going on, it's always, having him, somebody that I can reach out to and kind of voice my opinions, and utilize him to keep my family together because, like my second one is family. So it's like God, family, and then everybody else. But my personal, that's like the hierarchy of values, right? So nobody's going to ever tell me that God isn't real or whatever, or try to pull me away from my beliefs. That's one non-negotiable. And then the two is, my family. If my job, kind of like yourself, if my job required me to, pull away from them and miss my kids' childhood, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And then three, obviously, is my financials. I if it's for myself, I believe that financials is a huge thing that you need to really focus on. Not to grow it and become gluttonous, but more or less like having that freedom because when you're tied down by debt and being the guy that has to give everybody else money and you don't have any money on your end, you get stuck in this mindset of survival. And when you don't have when you're stuck in this mindset of survival, you can't dream. It's very difficult to think outside of what your current situation is. And so when you get your finances in order, it makes it so much easier to think, okay, I can do that, I can do this, I can do whatever. And so that's another personal value of mine. And kind of going into the whole idea of giving back. I think when you get out of survival mode, you start getting into dream mode, and like, I want to give, I want to go buy this, and this. But for myself, it's very much like I want to have a simple life. I want to have the ability to live, having money coming in and being able to give back to the charities that I always wanted to. And that's why I'm starting with this podcast, is because there's people out there that I want to get their message out. I want to get them out there because I think it's an amazing message. That it be, fitness, helping people with their fitness, also helping people. I just interviewed a gentleman, Kenton Lee, not too long ago, who is the founder of the Shoes That Grow. And he's literally making a difference out in Africa and Ethiopia. And he just had one video that went viral and his business just blew up. And so I'm like, that's an amazing message because people relate to that. And my final one is really just giving back. I want to be able to, live off 50% and then give away 50%. You know what I mean? Like being that financially stable to really just pour my time and my money into things that I really do appreciate. So I guess, does that help? I hope that helps you develop your values too, and everybody out there.
It kind of gives me I wasn't exactly, it's kind of an open-ended question. I wasn't sure which route to go with it, but yeah, touching on family and of course your beliefs and everything else too. I totally agree with what you were talking about as far as finances go, because I think that's hugely the problem with now the middle and even the upper middle and of course the lower class systems. People are stuck and they're a slave to their jobs because they need to survive. So they'll work the 9 to 5 they hate, they can't stand. It's taking their life away slowly, pulls them away from their family, because that's all they think they're good enough for, or that's what they need to do. They can't take that risk and go off and do the thing. But I love hearing the stories. You hear it all the time of people who started with nothing and now they're where they want to be and they can give back to people like you're talking about and things like that too. So I think success definitely comes from pain, from one pain or another. Could come from fear as well too. Like you said, we talked about the decision making. It's which pain is more painful. You're going to run away from the most painful idea, whether it's a 6 months to live, or it's, if you continue this job, you're not going to make it another 3 or 4 years. That's going to push someone to make a decision versus suffering through it, plugging through it, and hoping it just gets better by itself, whatever it might be. So, Good stuff. Yeah, your answer was much more thought out. I was on the spot for the record, so.
I love it. So, I did put you on the spot. That was something that was literally on my mind, and I know that's always a tough question to answer because, in reality, I mean, most people have values that they intrinsically believe in, but sometimes they get lost. Like you get lost with some of the stuff going on, and you start sometimes doing things that that may be against your values because they're not strong in there. So that's another one of those things that I really want to help people do is really get clear on what their values are, and if what they're doing on a consistent basis every single day is in line with that with those values, or if they're off track, and that's just because they haven't solidified it. That's why some people feel awkward when they're doing certain things. It's because it's just not in line with their values. That's just my personal thought.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, nonetheless, like I think it's for everybody watching out there, philosophies. Like even if I have a PDF that I use to help me get my values in line. If you guys actually want it and you're listening to it right now, just drop me or a 1 or a 2 in this video, and just let me know, like, hey, I want to get my values figured out, and so I'll send you that that PDF that I like to use. So anyway, so going back to one of my values that I truly believe in, which is giving, for yourself, are there any charities or are there any organizations that you that people should know more about, kind of do their little research, or have you, I mean, just say it straight up. Do you get involved with charities? Do you like to give back? Like, how do you give back to your communities?
Totally. So I'm kind of on that cusp, like you talked about. Last 4 years trying to get out of survival mode, right? So that I have the opportunity to help. Other than helping organizations that my kids are involved in, and different. It's called the His House in Yorba Linda I believe it's for women and children who are avoiding abuse and things like that, donating clothes and things like that too. A big one that I really like, a good buddy of mine, in fact, we know, is Ray Roman with Nets for Life. He goes down Nets for Life. Check it out, netsforlife.org, I believe. For as simple as what it is, it's huge and it's powerful. He basically renovates neglected playgrounds, specifically basketball courts. Puts new hoops up, refinishes the concrete, fills the gaps, fills the holes in the cracks, just so kids have a park to play in that's not dangerous, it's not graffiti and tagged up. It helps increase the neighborhoods. So locally in Orange County, that's a big one that I help with and contribute with. In fact, I need to do more of now that I'm talking about it. But to be honest with you, there's, like you said, there's so much that people want to do. And I think I mentioned this before. I think me personally, I haven't done as much as I want to do because I don't feel like the little amount I have to give will make a difference. Yeah. So my mindset is to get myself in a position where you're not in survival mode. You're living in abundance isn't the greatest word, but living with what you have and what you need. And now you've got the resources to help out. Who doesn't want to be the guy in the room to help cap off the goal, whatever the goal might be? Just write a check straight up, be done with it, whether it's your church, your school, community. Yeah. I mean, that'd be the greatest feeling in the world. And that'll be, we'll feel that at some point. I already know based on the trajectory that you and I are both on. And I know there's things that can be done that don't cost. We've taken our kids to beach cleanups in Orange County, cleaning up beaches, right? Helping families with their projects, their community service projects for things like Eagle Scouts and Boy Scouts and things like that. There's a lot out there that it doesn't take a lot to make a benefit. And I think we can all do more than we're doing, to be honest with you. But again, it's getting caught up in your day-to-day life and your own projects, and with having a whiteboard of 50 things you want to do, sometimes unless that really hits home for you for whatever specific reason, it's easy to put kind of giving back on the back burner too. So plus I feel, even though I feel like what I do too is helping my community. Though I'm paid for services, right? Honestly, I don't look for the pay. I do it regardless. In fact, I wasn't regardless. I was working my stable 9-to-5 job, and I was helping people on the side at first for nothing, and people insisted on compensation for time. And you learn to just accept it, and from there you realize that there's a need for it. That's kind of how I got started into personalized training or corrective post rehab. So there's definitely more to come. There's definitely more to do. No question. I'm confident, especially as my kids get older, we'll be doing more and more and more of it too. So.
Right. And I going back to Nets for Life, that's Ray Romano. Romano. That is so funny. Yeah. Who's that one? The guy who everybody loves, Ray.
That's Ray Romano.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So
Ray Roman.
Roman, and I hope you're watching this, Roman. I love you, man. You're awesome. So the charity that Alan was talking about, Ray Roman started. It's called Nets #4 Life, and you can find them online. Do you know what the website is, Alan, for Nets for Life?
I believe it's netsforlife.org.
Okay.
ORG. Perfect. And I think it's NETZ, Nets for Life.
Net. So everybody listening, I'll put it in the bio section, and then everybody who's watching this, I'll put it in the comments section. So that's an amazing organization. I forgot about that, and I think it's so impactful for those underprivileged communities to get a place where they can live and they can be active out in the basketball court without having to worry about the gang violence and all that other stuff going on. So that's really an amazing organization that Ray got going on over there. So thank you, Alan. I think that a lot of people are going to learn a lot of amazing things from this interview. And, before we leave, how can anybody reach out to you, find you, and work out with you? Where can they contact you?
Probably the easiest place, the most central place to go would be my website. It would be activerecoveryfitness.com. It's got biographical information, current and former clients, reviews. It's got links to all social media. So I'd probably go there easiest. You've got email links and contact pages and all that good stuff. So activerecoveryfitness.com. You can search for me. My last name's a little tricky. Just search for Active Recovery Fitness. It'll pop up, I believe. And I'll give you the info too. Maybe you can add it to the post, to the page, links.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd love to help anybody out. Even though physically, if I can't be there with you, I do also do some online coaching, mentoring, getting people organized, working on behavioral changes, whether it's through nutrition or exercise. A lot of people don't know where to start, or have equipment they don't know what to do with it, or they're doing the same thing they've been doing since they were in high school PE class. So there's a lot that can be done this way, virtually, like a classroom setting. There's a lot that we could do through email even. So whatever you feel comfortable about. Either way, I'm here to help you. Because if it's through this program here, make sure that you mention that when you contact me, and we'll set something up for you. That'll benefit everybody at little or no cost. It'll be no big deal. I'd love to help out.
Awesome. Cool. So discount, no wasted time. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Alan, for being with us today. And if you guys have any questions about personal development or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. The best way you can reach out to me is in the description below, or if you guys are listening, in the bio. I'm your 1-minute mentor. You can find me at www.omminspire.com. And until next time, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and make every minute count.